Hey everybody, let's spend a little bit of time on naming acids and bases. Um, it's the kind of naming that we haven't gone over up until this point, and I think it's a lot of fun to name acids and bases. And we kind of have to know these things when we get in there. Let me get rid of my face and we will get started here. Okay. So if you have a binary acid, and we're very familiar with these binary acids like HCl and HBr, okay, the way that I would suggest you name these guys, and I have these funny little acronyms and mnemonic devices, but I would go hydrorhodic acid, and it doesn't have to be capitalized. Remember, names of compounds and elements are not proper. So this would be hydrochloric acid, okay, hydrobromic acid, and hydrosulfic acid, okay? And binary acids are these acids that only have two elements in them, okay? So HI is an acid, and so that would be hydro, and the root of iodine is iode, okay? So this is hydroiodic acid, HI, okay? And so that's how you name binary acids. But there's not as many binary acids as there are acids using polyatomic ions. So I always, back in the day when I would teach this live, I would set up the class and I would say things like, I'll bring myself up. I would say things like, oh, man, I'm not feeling well because I have a case of adic-itis. Adic-itis. Oh. And so I would do this for the students, and the students were like, what's going on? And so, but adic-itis is really my way of naming polyatomic ion acids. And so if we look, a lot of times when it comes to naming, we have to know how to split a molecule up that's got polyatomic ions. And so we know that this is the name of the nitrate ion. And so the nitrate ion ends in 8. So we're going to drop the 8 and add ic. 8-ic acid. So this is nitric acid. As opposed to this guy is NO2, that's the nitrite ion, and so we're going to drop the ite and add us, the OUS, and then add acid. So this is nitrous acid. Okay, and so another funny example where we finally get used to the periodic table is this is the periodate ion. Okay, periodate. It's got one more, whatever, all that stuff from naming polyatomic ions. Okay, and it's an acid, we know, because it's got this H out front using the Arrhenius theory. So this is the acid of the periodate ion. So we drop the 8, and let's see, 8-ic, add ic. So it's, okay, so this is where pronunciation comes in play. It looks like periodic acid, but it's periodic acid, okay? So periodic acid, periodic acid. I would much prefer to hear periodic acid. Okay. So adic-itis for naming polyatomic acids of polyatomics. Now when we name bases, we actually don't have to change anything at all about how we name things. Okay, so we're going to go back here. We're going to go, okay, sodium hydroxide. So we split this up. We go sodium. We name this polyatomic ion as hydroxide. We look at the metal. The metal is not a transition metal, so we don't put the charge there. And so now we do the same thing here. We have hydroxide, copper. Okay, so it's copper hydroxide. Copper is a transition metal, so we're going to figure out what its charge is. Hydroxide, Oh, that was not the sound, that was me. Hydroxide is a 1 minus, that means the least common multiple is a 2. There's 1 here, so that means this is a 2 plus. So this is copper 2 hydroxide. And I go very quickly through it because that is really just a review of the naming that we've already done in terms of naming compounds with polyatomic ions in it. Okay, so let's go through and let's name some of these ions or some of these compounds. Now these are some can be acids, some are bases, so this is cool, but maybe the thing to do is to pause and try to name some of these based on what we've already talked about, and see if you get it right. Use this part of the video as an answer key, or maybe you watch me do a couple and then you try however you want to do it. But don't forget that the beauty of this whole using the videos thing is you can pause and rewind and rewatch, and you can do things on your own before I get to do them. However you want to do this. Okay, but anyways, this is a hydroxide. So remember that hydroxides are bases, Arrhenius theory. Okay, we just split this in half. And so we know that this is copper, and we know that that's hydroxide. So make sure that it's I don't know why that keeps doing that. Copper keeps pulling up that menu. So it's copper hydroxide. But copper is a transition metal. So there's 1 hydroxide, charge of 1. So this is a 1. So this is copper 1 hydroxide. Okay. Now the next one. This one we've already seen. We saw this a couple pages back, but this is an acid because it's got an H out front. Arrhenius theory says that this is an acid. And so this is the nitrite ion. Nitrite. Drop the ite. Adic itus. So this is the nitrous ion. I don't know what is going on here. Let's go back here. Okay. So this is nitrous acid. Okay. Now, again, acid. This is a polyatomic ion that we have to have memorized. This is the acetate ion. Acetate, drop the 8, add the ic. So this is another one of those acetic acid. Now you may want to say acetic because it's acetate ion, but this is where the pronunciation will change. So this is acetic acid. Okay, HI is another one that we did. This is a binary acid, so we use hydrorhodic acid, and so this is hydroiodic acid. Okay, another one we did, seems like I'm just using the same examples over and over again, but this is the periodate ion. Drop the 8, add ic, so it's the periodic acid. Okay, so this is a base, hydroxide, so we split it in half. Okay, so this is going to be calcium hydroxide, and note that calcium is not a transition metal, so we don't need the charge there. Okay, we don't need it, so it's just calcium hydroxide. And so now this is the phosphite ion, and so adic itus, so phosphite turns to phosphorus ion, and this is where spelling comes into play, because phosphorus, O-U-S, acid. Okay, if this were the compound, or the element is spelled phosphorus acid, and it's pronounced the same: phosphorus, phosphorus. So what's the difference? Well, this O means that it's an acid. The lack of an O means it's the element. Okay. Last but not least, here we have sulfite ion. Again, we know that this is an acid. It's got an H out front. So this is the sulfite ion. And so if it's the sulfite ion, using adic, itus, we drop the ite, add the OUS. Okay. But we have to keep in mind that it's not sulfus acid. It's going to, we have to add that extra syllable in there. So this is going to be sulfurous acid. Okay, so acids of sulfur, polyatomic ions, we add that extra syllable sulfurous. Okay, and so is for phosphite, we add the extra syllable phosphor. So it's going to be phosphorus or phosphoric, sulfurous or sulfuric. Okay, well, that went a little longer than I wanted to. I had a couple of technical difficulties, but nonetheless, there it is, and that's how you name compounds, acids and bases at least.